You get the abbreviated version of the State of the Association from me today because I want to give Sherry the opportunity to talk about her experiences with ATA and the things that they have done. So I kept it very short, but I'd be remiss if we did not take a moment to recognize the loss of a champion in this organization and a champion of this industry in John Alden. We lost John Alden earlier on this year, so we're gonna take a moment of silence for John. Thank you. John was a great friend, a mentor, a lunch date for me, almost once a month, sometimes a couple of times a month. And interestingly enough, was the recruiter for the board when they hired me. So was always great to be around, and we miss him very much. Some new faces here at OTA. Nick Miller and Della Hole have come on staff with the association. Nick in the role of the vice president of membership, and Della as our office manager to round out the rest of our staff, in addition to Erwin Shires, who's our director of education, and Brady Berry, who's our director or vice president of events. So added to the staff, continue to work to provide great services for our members. This is the chart I put out there, and I know that you've heard me say this, and I'll say this again. For me, working on legislation is like football, is that the best defense is a great offense. And we have taken the offense on a lot of stuff. And the bad parts about politics is you can get blindsided when you're sitting still. And we know we have not sat still. We continue to push our legislative agenda. And as soon as we get one thing checked off our list, we continue to add to that list. We had a very successful year when it came to that, and knocked some things off the list that have been on the list for long before I got here. In the latest highway bill, state highway bill, we got a grant and loan program for CDL schools. So what this is the state of Ohio used to have a loan program or a grant program to go to CDL school, and they took it away. They moved that money to somewhere else. No matter how much we whined about it and yelled about it and thought it was a terrible idea, they still did it anyway. We got this back. We got money back in the budget that will run through the Department of Higher Education to get grants and loans. So it's a 50-50 grant loan program to go to CDL school. We've been barking about this for years. I will continue to yell about it as long as I can. It still makes absolutely no sense to me that the federal government will fund degrees in Sanskrit with no job opportunities at the other end, but won't give you $6-7 grand to go to truck driving school. It doesn't make any sense. So we continually push that, and Ohio is the first state to do this, is the first state to provide loans to go to truck driving school. The next thing we won on was permanent trailer plates. And for those of you in the room, how long have we been yelling about Ohio having permanent trailer plates? We finally got this done, kinda. It is a pilot program, if you will. So starting in January, if you license a new trailer, you can license that new trailer in Ohio for $1 less than you do in Maine. So we made sure that we were competitive. We finally got the state of Ohio to understand that trailers is a competitive environment. So if you want to permanently plate your trailers in Ohio, you can do it starting January 1st. So that has been a big lift, something we've done. It only applies to new trailers or trailers that you bring back to the state. So if you purchase a new trailer or used trailer and you license it for the first time, you can do that here in Ohio on a permanent basis. The other piece that we ran through are things that we have been through and have won on as far as the industry goes. One of the other big wins we had was on the 8-year driver's license renewal. They were trying to take that away. We made sure that that stayed in. We are also continuing to have conversations on truck parking. I was very close to getting them to the state to specifically set aside money for truck parking projects only. And that is how we're going to continue to do that. I've sat on a committee for the Department of Transportation to be able to find opportunities for truck parking. The issue that DOT has is we're not short on truck parking spots. We're just in the wrong locations. We're in places that trucks aren't. And we're trying to find ways to reinvent the wheel on truck parking and making sure we have truck parking in areas that we need to go. As I said, we still add more to the list. So these are the things that we're working on and working on very passionately. Distracted driving is our top priority. It's something that Ed set out at the start of his chairmanship, and it's something that we're going to continue to pursue. There again, we take a different spin. Our spin on distracted driving is pretty clear. If someone is distracted while driving and gets in an accident with our vehicles, who gets sued? We do. And they say, well, they're distracted driving and you can use that in a court of law. I'm like, I get that you can use it in a court of law, but you have to get to a court of law to do that. If we can avoid the accident altogether when people are texting and driving, we don't have to bother going to court. We don't have to spend the money to defend ourselves. So that is a big piece that we're working on. We're also still working on the tax credit for driver training. We're still working on the predatory towing. If I see another 80,000 plus towing bill, I'm gonna puke. I mean, it's just sickening what they're doing to us. And then we're still pushing fuel tax parity. As you know, in the last previous highway bill, we got ourselves into a situation where diesel tax went up higher than motor vehicle tax. And we've been very clear to the legislature. You don't touch diesel tax and you don't touch indexing until you make fuel tax at the same amount of what diesel tax is. Why do you rob a bank? Because that's where the money is at. Why do you go after fuel tax on the gasoline side? Because that's where the money is at, because they're buying 70 to 80% of the fuel. And that's where we need to be. So we continue to work on all of these things moving forward as an industry and really continuing to push. The call on Washington, and Sherry talked a little bit about this, is extremely important for us to do this. We did it virtually this year. It is something that we take great pride in, getting out to DC and having those conversations one-on-one. Yes, you pay me to be your hired gun. Yes, you pay me to carry your message, but it makes such a larger impact when they hear it from you. Doug Cibolo, when he took over as chairman, got up to the podium and talked about Team 88 and generating Team 88. And someone leaned over to me and says, what's Team 88? And I said, I have no idea what Team 88 is. So the chairman's due to me. I love it. We get an opportunity to reinvent the wheel, and we generated Team 88. I suggest that you take a look at becoming a member of Team 88 so you get the inside baseball of what's going on in the political realm. But what I further challenge you to do is when you get back home, to pick up the phone and call your legislator and take them out for coffee or lunch or invite them to your place of business. Having that relationship has paid off for the organization so many times. The number of times I've been able to walk into a legislator's office and say, hey, we're working on this issue. And they say, oh yeah, one of my constituents called me about that. You have my support. Makes our lives so much easier because we're able to get those things done. That's how we got permanent trailer plates. That's how we got unemployment insurance benefits paid off, or the loan that we owed to the federal government on that. The action starts with you telling your members of the legislature what your pain problems are so that we can get those things fixed. Our hope is that next year we'll be able to go out to DC for our call on Washington. One of the big issues that we're very excited about, and I still remember the tagline, with live in-person training starting in 2020. Well, we didn't get that, but we are starting to revamp the trainings and the utilization of our building, which is about a mile down the road. It is a great facility, is one that the staff has utilized and we continue to utilize for that. Buildings aren't cheap. This is my opportunity to ask for money. We have opportunities to buy offices, to sponsor offices in the building. And these are the opportunities that are out there. It is opportunities to show your customers, to show others in the business that you support the association to be able to do that. We've had a number of people do that. The conference room has been sponsored. The foyer has been sponsored. Jay, I will not tell them what you want to sponsor. But we have opportunities there and we are willing to do that. We really want to take an opportunity to highlight those who have supported us. A number of offices have already been picked up. So please consider and chat with me a little bit about sponsoring those. OTA on the Air is one thing that grew out of COVID. It was an ongoing interview, podcast, now vodcast that we do every other week. And it's able to be able to generate a lot of good conversation. We generated and talked about a lot of the speakers here to give you a preview of what's going on. We talk about some of the things that are going on as far as the association goes, and to give legislative updates. We keep them short, they're less than a half hour, so it's not like listening to Joe Rogan. And they're very easy to listen to on the commute or anything like that. So it's something that's been very successful that we've really greatly enjoyed. And we send those out as part of your membership minute. The membership minute is a bi-weekly update of what's going on. When you get your Ohio Transportation Weekly, which I know you're reading every week from top to bottom, but what you'll notice in that is we don't talk about golf tournaments or events that we've had or things that we've done. We talk about things that make you a better leader, to help you run your operation more efficiently, and to give you tips to make your company a more efficient and more profitable business. That's the whole point of that. We don't want to bore you with that kind of stuff. The membership minute is specifically about what we do as an association. So it's an opportunity every other week for us to toot our own horns and talk about the great things that we're doing. So both of those items are out there for you to be able to help you understand what the association is doing to increase your value. I would be remiss if I didn't close with a huge thank you to our folks in Toledo. If you didn't have the opportunity to be up in Toledo last month for our PAC event, which we did not get to have 2 years ago, we had one of the most successful, if not the most successful PAC event that we've ever had, and one of the top ones that the nation has had as far as the events go. It was a great opportunity, and Ed and Tony and Sophie and Dean, thank you so much for all the work that you did to make that such an amazingly successful event. We're continuing to push our PAC donations because it is becoming more important in this environment to making sure that we're able to support the election of officials who support us. And that's one thing that we do with our PAC dollars. I'll talk about it tonight at the PAC donation, but that is, or the PAC event tonight, is we want to make sure that we put into place not legislators that agree with us all the time, and not legislators that do exactly what we want, but legislators that will listen to what we want and provide action to making sure that we get an environment that is good for business, that is good for the trucking industry, and helps us get our job done. So thank you all very much for that as well. One of the other things that we are working on is making sure that we're providing more value. We develop white papers that Irwin puts out on a variety of different issues that pop up to help you understand the nuts and bolts of what's going on when a regulation comes out. So it's a one-pager that really helps you understand that. But now we're also, through the help of some of our partners, delving into other areas. And the one you have with you is a piece on driver shortage to really explain that. We're the first state to do this, and it comes as part of the economic survey that we did with Schneider Downs. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Carl Scharf with Schneider Downs to walk us through the work that they've done.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Tom. And hey, what an incredible job by the OTA, other members, between Brady, Irwin, Tom, and others I know not mentioned, for putting this two-day event on. Incredible job. And for me, it's nice to be up on stage in front of people and speaking at a live event again, and not behind a screen speaking. So I know I only have a few minutes here. I'm kind of between the break here at 1:30. So I'm going to keep this brief, but as a real quick, introduction, I'm Carl Scharf. I'm a tax advisory shareholder in Schneider Downs' transportation industry group practice. I serve many privately held companies and family-owned organizations, advising them on various tax matters, from organizational restructuring, succession planning, credits and incentives, and various other federal, state, and local tax matters. For those of you not familiar with our firm, we were established in 1956 and are one of the top 60th public accounting firms in the country, providing accounting, consulting, and tax advisory services here in Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Washington, D.C. We employ roughly 500 personnel and have 52 shareholders and partners. Something we're very proud of is that we're locally owned and managed. So, and provide these services to locally owned companies, from startups, large publicly traded companies, ESOPs, and other family-owned businesses. And just something else to make everyone aware, something we are also proud of is just recently we were awarded, named the recipient of Inside Public Accounting's top accounting firms in 2021. Real quick on our transportation industry group, it has deep roots in our firm's 65-year plus history. We provide services to 70 plus transportation, supply chain, and logistics companies through our region in the United States. The group includes management consulting professionals from our assurance, tax, and technology practices who combine their individual expertise to provide these professional services to our region. And as a business advisor, we really work with all our clients to find innovative ways and solutions to reach their strategic and financial goals and objectives. So we take serious pride in making our clients better. So as Tom alluded to, for several years, we've partnered with the OTA to provide content to you all to help you all become more operationally efficient and profitable. Many of you have participated in one of our initiatives, the Business and Economic Survey from years past. I think, in years past, we typically rolled out that economic report here at this conference. Due to the results being a little bit lighter than years past, we've changed the deliverable to what Tom alluded to that's on everyone's chairs. So instead, we partnered together to take a deep dive into the most important challenges affecting the trucking industry through a series of these white papers. Okay. The first white paper, which is on everyone's seat, focuses on the number one challenge facing trucking companies, and that's driver shortages, which has only been exacerbated by this pandemic. The white paper describes several tactics for recruiting and retaining talent and introduces several less obvious business strategies for consideration. I don't need to tell you all this, but certainly coordinated attraction and retention efforts and incentives are more necessary now than ever. And like Sherry said, with an increasing age in drivers, along with these lingering effects of the pandemic, have pushed many seasoned drivers and veterans out of the workforce. With new attitudes of the millennials, workers desiring a more work-life balance and better flexibility, leaves trucking companies struggling, to develop talent. The white paper here includes and highlights 7 considerations for retaining drivers and 10 ideas for recruiting drivers. Following these topics, the paper will look like something less obvious or looks at something less obvious business strategies that you should all consider, including retirement plan benefit programs and several tax saving strategies. Although each trucking company has its own specific needs and has its own facts and circumstances to find solutions, we do hope the report does provide value to you all, and it's as a quality resource as you guys all work on your quest to retain and attract drivers. The intention of this white paper program is really to provide you all with the latest information available on the most important issues to you all. And over the next 6 months, we will be developing additional white papers on topics with the most updated information, which can be seen here on the slide. So here's our lineup here for the next 6 months following this most recent release. In October, we'll have lease considerations. So, looking at lease versus buy analysis when it comes to trucks and other financial reporting considerations. November, there'll be a white paper issued on adapt and infrastructure, which really takes a look at data analytics and how it could drive value to your organization. In December, we'll have an economic update, followed by a tax update in January, which hopefully maybe we'll have a little bit more clarity on the Biden administration and tax policy. I know every day it seems like this is changing and something we've been fighting in our industry for the last couple of years, but stay tuned. And then in February, we'll follow that with a cybersecurity and technology update. So this is the lineup for the next 6 months. With respect to the survey, we do plan to relaunch that this upcoming year. So please look out for that. And in the meantime, we would love to hear from you all and your thoughts and any feedback that you might have. What's important about the survey and the corresponding report is that the contents are provided by you and for you, for the members. And this is a chance for you to be heard and to learn from your peers that are also operating in your industry. It's a labor of love for us, and we always love hearing your voices and opinions. So myself and a few others from our transportation group are going to be around here during the break, and we'll be around afterwards. Be more than happy to talk to you, and would love to hear about your feedback on the white paper and any other topics that you might all find interesting. Thank you.